have the Lord in the Gospel warning against being blind oneself and leading the blind into the pit. This is a warning to all those who are engaged in the Lord's work, that we bear a responsibility for those that we are leading. The testimony found from the archives of a deceased exorcist, Father Pellegrino are something to be borne in mind. He was, before he died, interviewed by a journalist, Vincenzo Speziale. He was a monk of the Benedictine Monastery of San Giorgio in the island of Venice, and he died in about 1994, but he was well known in the area for his sanctity and his work in the realm of exorcism. And he warned about certain things that people were not aware of, including what certain priests were not aware of and the responsibility that they bore, for they were in danger of collaborating with the devil and therefore being blind guides. And so he had this brainwave before he died, addressing other exorcists with this remark, that had they all done the same thing, we would have a complete arsenal of evidence of the devil's activity. As it is, he did it himself, compiling a list of likes and dislikes of the devil before he died, which are here in these, which can be downloaded from this, which was picked up by another priest, a certain Father Joseph Dwight. So here we are for benefits of the cybersphere. It's under spiritual food that one will find the actual article. Father Joseph Dwight is the actual one who's found the evidence and published it recently. So likes and dislikes of Satan is the article under his thing, which is spiritual food. And it has also been referred to as the Catechism of Satan, because the good priest who died, Father Pellegrino, put it in for and against form, likes and dislikes of Satan. So we looked at a few of them because they are quite specific and they're quite contemporary, and actually they're more contemporary now than when he was writing them, in a sense, because things have got worse rather than better in the things that he's describing. So the devil is very pleased with the host in the hand, and these words come out of hell's own mouth, so that I can trample on your God, that God which I killed, and I can celebrate my masses with my priests which I snatched from him. Now that means that he's trying to get priests who have left the priesthood, as well as having themselves, the hosts, validly consecrated. But to have a full black mass, you need a priest who has fallen. Priests dressed as street cleaners, camouflaged, so that I can lead them where I want, in the hotels and in private houses, in search of women and of homosexuals, and I make them commit many sacrileges, and I bring them to my kingdom. How many camouflaged priests are in my kingdom, and they will no longer escape from me. Here one hears cold laughter. Another one, the priests and the bishops enrolled in the Freemasonry and in my sects. Oh, how many there are that I carry away with money and with women. How many become my faithful friends with money and with women. I take as many as I want, I bring them to my kingdom. And here we are, the mini-skirts, with which I ensnare men and women, and I fill up my kingdom. What happiness, what joy. Another one, the television. The television, it is my device. I invented it in order to destroy the single souls and the families. I separate them. I break them up with my subtle and penetrating programs. That's got even worse today with the normalization of infidelity in marriage, which is projected on the soap operas of our day. The television is the centre of attraction with which I draw in so many priests, brothers and sisters, especially in the late hours, and then I do not let them pray. In an instant I present myself in the whole world. They listen to me and they all see me. My faithful servants help me greatly. The sorcerers, the witches, the fortune tellers, the palm readers, the astrologers, and so it goes on. The discotheques. How beautiful. They are my golden palaces where I attract the best hopes of society, which I make mine, destroying their souls and their bodies. How many thousands and thousands I carry away with me, with alcohol, with drugs, and with sex. Oh, what a continuous harvest! I have entrusted them to many politicians, my faithful servants. And so he goes on. I am the true king of the world, and not formerly your God, who I crucified. Then he goes on in this list, of course, the bits taken from different exorcisms, because he had the intuition that it was important to put them all together in categories, things that he'd heard over the years coming out of exorcism when he was interrogating before he died. So divorce, the separation of the married couples, this was invented by me. Of it I demand the property. It is one of my most intelligent discoveries. In this way I destroy the family and I destroy the society, when I am adored as the true king of the world. Then it goes on. Well, basically, voluptuousness has taken the place of fidelity. Then he goes on to abortion, the killing of the innocent. Oh, hurrah, hurrah! It was my most beautiful and tasty idea to kill the innocent instead of the guilty. And the mafia killers, I destroy humanity, and in this way they end, before being born, the adorers of your false God. Hurrah, hurrah. Then drugs. It is the most delicious food that I make the youth to eat, to make them crazy, and in this way I make them do as I want. Thieves, assassins, lustful, fierce like me, dominators of the world, my ministers. Now, then he goes on to a more subtle one, which is perhaps linked with the gospel of today, the question of the blind leading the blind, because the responsibility borne by those who teach is huge. But above all, I like and I am delighted by those bishops and those priests who deny my existence and my work in the world. And there are many. Oh, what joy! What joy for me! Secure and tranquil work. Even theologians today do not believe in my existence. How beautiful! And in this way they even deny that God, who came in order to destroy me. Instead, I won. I nailed him to the cross. And so he goes on. And then he goes on to the question of how people are enticed to enlist in his sects, allured by this question of career and by money. I easily buy them, because I have finally succeeded in making them no longer love their false God, nor the woman who pretends to have defeated me. We notice that in some modern artists in the rock world, their success is not explicable in merely human terms. It seems that they have benefits from hidden sources. But the question then is posed, what then? Then he goes on to describe the devil himself now, how politicians do his work. Especially politicians, it seems, who declare themselves Christians, but they are not Christians, because they are mine and in my service, because a little bit of good then is enough to take in those who will vote for them. Then further down, to destroy the church is my first and ideal project. Oh, what contentment, what contentment. And that, by the way, is frightening, because this has got worse since this was reported in 1994. because we see now great division from within the church, and therefore we wonder why some priests are given a lot of airspace and others are made fun of. It would seem that there's more going on there than meets the eye. Judges and magistrates. Apparently there's more corruption than we think. And then the whole question of sects. Then the theologians. This question then of lack of obedience to the one who has the guarantee, the Holy Father. And these theologians then who subtly sow division and therefore are doing someone else's work, teaching independence of mind. Then what the devil dislikes, confession, what a stupid invention, how much it pains me, it makes me suffer. And so it goes on. But I have found those priests who no longer believe in confession and send the Christians to receive that false god in sin. Good, good, very good. How many sacrileges I caused to be committed. He goes on about the nonsense of adoration. Then he goes on, I hate the rosary. That broken and rotten tool of that woman is like a hammer for me, which splits my heat. Ah, it is the invention of some false Christians who do not obey me. For this they follow that bad woman. They are false. Instead of listening to me, the one who reigns over the whole world, these false Christians go to pray to that wicked woman, my first enemy, with that instrument. Oh, how much pain it causes me. And then there's an interesting one here. The greatest pain in this period of time for me are the continual presences, the apparitions of this wicked woman in the whole world. She appears in all the nations, and she persecutes me, snatching from my hands so many souls, thousands and thousands, to listen to her false messages. Fortunately, the bishops and priests who do not believe in that vile woman defend me. They do not believe, and so they cause confusion. Good, good. These, my apostles of heresy. Then he goes on specifically, but what destroys me even more is the asinine obedience to that man dressed in white, who commands in the name of the false Redeemer and of your false Saviour. With some eloquence there on how the person of the Pope horrifies him. And then he has a horrible hatred of one particular category. I am very vexed by those little servants with the head covered who abandon all and everything in order to close themselves within four walls, in order to sacrifice all that is beautiful and good for that God that only I have succeeded in defeating. Day and night they mortify themselves with night prayers and reckless and insubstantial fasting. They do not sleep sufficiently, they do not eat according to the needs of the appetite and of the body, which demands the necessary diet. They do not speak freely anywhere, and always taciturn, sulky-looking, full of sadness, most inhuman, they pray, they sing, and all this sacrifice they do for who? For what particular motive? For what ends? For what results? Fortunately, the vast majority are not very intelligent, dull-witted, lacking in willpower, who let themselves be dragged in by some dissatisfied priests. And that happens especially in the case of ladies, because they are very much influenced by priests who come in, who might not actually be on their spiritual level, because the nuns are cloistered and often they have to do with priests who are coming from a secular situation. Poor sissies, said the devil, who do not know the true pleasure, and so on. And then, this last one here, Then there are my real fierce and relentless persecutors. They are those who are called exorcists. What an ugly breed, what disgrace in the world. Fortunately, there are still few, very few, because I dissuade the bishops from nominating them. And these believe me and obey me, even against the command of their crucified God, who commanded them in my name cast out demons. What clowns! These bishops are afraid of me. Much, very much. I already possess them, and I cause them to not do exorcisms against me, and I do not even allow them to nominate exorcists. What ferocious enemies! Many times I have succeeded in vindicating myself to punish them, to slap them, to beat them, to stop them with many different sicknesses, sometimes even serious. But unfortunately, they do not give up. They do not give up. And when they approach my victim, I must run away, or sooner or later I must flee. What prayers they do, and always in the name of that their God, and of that their woman mother, of the crucified one. Oh, what pain, what torture for me. And we know from the experience of exorcists that the prayers the devil hates most are the old prayers. And we know that when it came to redoing the ritual, not that long ago actually, happened when I was in Italy. It was the last of the liturgical documents published by the Holy See after the renewal of Vatican II. I think it actually Ratzinger, it was one of the highest authorities anyway, who did give straight away the faculty to use the old rite still for exorcism, because he knew that from talking to exorcists it was one actually that was most efficacious, which is interesting because they're such powerful prayers there and they're so ancient that they really make the devils tremble. So that's the spiritual warfare that we have to do with, and the fact that we can't see it means that we too are in danger of being blind guides. Gloriosa dicta sudite Maria, quia fecit tibi magna, qui potens